Good morning and welcome to the Hopkins Bloomberg Center. I am Veronica Donahue, Associate Dean for the Graduate and Professional Programs in the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences at Johns Hopkins University. I'm really pleased to begin the day with all of you this morning for this convening on museums and democracy, organized by our MA in Museum Studies program and our MA in Cultural Heritage Management in collaboration with the Smithsonian Museum. So this convening is the result of an award, a NEXUS award received by our Museum Studies program. NEXUS awards provide faculty opportunities to explore and support convening, research, and teaching that is anchored here at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg Center. I just want to share a small snippet I found so meaningful from the application for this award. In the application, the Museum Studies team wrote, "Museums are repositories of culture, history, art, and scientific knowledge. Museums create spaces for communal conversation and reflection on what it means to be an American, what it meant yesterday, what it means today, and what it might mean in the future. At a time when this meaning is so contested and fraught, how can museums, in their work, provide a safe, productive space for conversation and engagement?" Powerful questions like these will guide our conversations today. The convening organizers, Dr. Sarah Chacon, Program Director for Museum Studies and Cultural Heritage Management, Stephanie Brown, Assistant Program Director for Museum Studies, Lisa Sosowski, Deputy Undersecretary for Special Projects at the Smithsonian Institute, Melanie Adams, Roger Ferguson and Annette Nazareth, Director at the Smithsonian Institute, Anacostia Community Museum, and Miriam Springle, Director, Smithsonian Institute Traveling, Exhibition Service, and Smithsonian Affiliations, have brought all of you here today. Together, you are a remarkable group that they have convened today. You come from 27 states and Puerto Rico. You represent over 60 different organizations, 36 of which are museums. Let's take a look from the National Museum of American History to the Filson Historical Society in Louisville, Kentucky. From the First Americans Museum in Oklahoma City to the Angel Island Immigration Station in San Francisco. From the Rockwell Museum in Corning, New York, to the National Gallery just across Pennsylvania Avenue. And I have to say, it's a wonderful museum to go to on your lunch. It's just wonderful to walk around and go through the tunnel. And you represent, in addition, important associations from the International Sites of Conscience to the Association of African American Museums. This evening, we're going to look forward to this evening when we will have a chance to have a fireside chat that will really round out our day as we welcome thought leaders of our nation's great public institutions. Secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, Lonnie Bunch, Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden, and Archivist of the United States, Colleen Shogan, in a conversation moderated by the Krieger School Dean, Christopher Chalenza. Chris Chalenza is the James B. Knapp Dean of Johns Hopkins University's Krieger School of Arts and Sciences. I wish you a very productive and meaningful day. I really thank everyone for coming here and for joining us and having such important conversations. And so now I will hand it off to Sarah and Stephanie, who will really get you started on today's activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Donahue, for that warm welcome.
So here we are. How about that? How about that? I have to say, and this is not in my prepared, very professional notes, that I feel a little bit like Elle, you know, in Legally Blonde. You all know it. You all know it. And this is a safe space. I feel a little bit like Elle on graduation day from Harvard, right? Because Megan, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't it amazing that we are all here right now? When we started planning this event over a year ago, we could not have imagined that we would be able to bring together such an amazing group of colleagues, friends, thinkers, and practitioners. You are some of the most creative, innovative, sensitive, and sensible, thoughtful folks working in our field today. And we asked you to join us to form a cohort of thinkers and doers who could address the critical issue of what role museums can play in strengthening our democracy. So before we get started, we have to thank some people. We first want to thank our dean, Veronica Donahue, who has been supportive and encouraging throughout, helping to open doors and offering good counsel. Our Museum Studies and Cultural Heritage Management team, Karina Ruzovich, Angela Labrador, Carlos Hernandez, Joyce Ray, have provided critical feedback and support. We're grateful to our student and alum volunteers, whom you'll be seeing and speaking with throughout the day. They all have a little blue tag on their badge. Malena Acosta, Colleen Arnold, Sean Blinn, Timothy Ann Burnside, Crystal Garay, Joy Gerber, Natalia Luna, Saber Moore, and Alana Quinn. And we owe a huge debt to our colleague Peter Huggins, event planner for advanced academic programs, without whose advice and assistance we would almost certainly have been holding this meeting without tables and chairs, and definitely without any catering.
I would like to echo the thanks that Stephanie offered. I'm afraid I'm not as good off the cuff as she is, so I'm going to read. I'm much better on a Zoom screen. I'm sorry. Much of the work that we do in museums is built on relationships, and we are grateful for the wonderful work of those around us, without who today would not be possible. So thank you. When Steffi and I first began thinking about this event, we reached out to a connection at the Smithsonian Institution to talk through our ideas. Lisa Sasaki not only took our call, she became our partner. And she brought with her Melanie Adams, Roger Ferguson, and Annette Nazareth, director at the Smithsonian Institution's Anacostia Community Museum, and Miriam Springle, who retired earlier this month from her position as the director of the Smithsonian Institution's Traveling Exhibition Service and Smithsonian affiliates. We've been fortunate beyond measure to have these colleagues share their thoughts, connections, and insights over the last year. Lisa Sasaki has been instrumental in helping us assemble the intellectual frame for today. Currently Deputy Undersecretary for Special Projects at the Smithsonian, Lisa has served a broad range of museums, from the Denver Museum of Nature and Science to the Japanese American National Museum in Los Angeles to the Oakland Museum of California to the Smithsonian Asian Pacific American Center. In her current role at the Smithsonian, Lisa is leading the institution's planning for the nation's 250th anniversary. So join me in welcoming our colleague and friend, Lisa Sasaki, to talk a bit about how we're thinking about today.
Thank you so much, Sarah, Stephanie, and good morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay, just making sure the coffee was kicking in. What I wanted to do was provide just a little bit of a framing for today, because when Stephanie and Sarah reached out to me, I had just one request when thinking about this very important topic about museums and democracy. And I said, could we put together a group of people in conversation where we weren't just all sitting around asking the same questions and leaving with the same problems? Could instead we have a really amazing day where at the end of it we could walk away feeling like we were moving and advancing museums forward when it came to this very important topic. And I'll have to say I couldn't ask for better partners, because they said, yes, Lisa, we can do that. And that's why all of you are here. You are an amazing mixture of thinkers and practitioners. You are at various different levels within the field and at your institutions. And we think that is going to be the secret sauce, the lightning in the bottle that will allow us to really think through how we can take what is a very challenging time. And I just wanted to stand up here and just acknowledge that, because that's part of something that I think all of us are wrestling with our different organizations and our institutions, our museums. We recognize that we are trusted sources. In fact, oftentimes we have the highest level of trust within our community, but that puts us in sort of a precarious position when it comes to moments like these, where it feels like there's a lot of questions about, is our democracy actually working? How can we have these conversations at a time when things feel so polarized and it feels like nothing that we say is right? You seem to make somebody upset on one side or the other. How can we actually engage in conversations that feel nonpartisan, but still allow sides to come together and work through their differences? These are all the challenges that we're currently facing right now, and I hear that over and over and over again when colleagues come together, whether that's in conferences or during talks or one-on-one conversations, especially as we look to 2026 and the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So these conversations are not going to go away. In fact, I would posit that this is going to be the challenge for our field for the next foreseeable bit of time. And so for me, it was really important to bring everybody together so we can really think through this together and not be in an echo chamber of just hearing the same things over and over and over again. And that's why, in part, we have our wonderful speakers this morning in order to be able to give different perspectives and maybe give us a different way of thinking about this to seed our afternoon conversations together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, because I think some people have been saying to me, like, Lisa, what's the outcome of this then? I'm going to ask and challenge all of you to help us with that outcome. So something that is facing forward, that actually provides direction to the rest of the field who unfortunately couldn't be here in the room with us today. They might be watching on live stream or through recordings later on. But what we're also hoping to do is at the end, if you could let us know how you would like this to be shared and distributed. Originally, when we first started, we were like, white paper. And then we're like, really? Is that what everybody's going to want? Could be. Not to diminish white papers, they're very good. But if that ends up being the outcome of it, that's great. But you'll see me again at the end of the day asking that very question. How can we move this forward from all of the great thinking that you're doing today? So keep that in the back of your mind as you're having your discussions, as you're listening. How can we get this out to the rest of the field? So I'm really looking forward to today. Thank you so much for coming to DC on a very hot, hot day and joining us for this wonderful talk. So I'll turn it back over to Sarah and Stephanie.
All right, thank you, Lisa. So we will be live streaming our morning plenary and panel. As you know, as some of you may not know, most of our students are online, and so that is a group that we serve, and we want to make sure that this is accessible to them. So the plenary and panel will be live stream. So let's get started. Welcome to this convening on museums and democracy, organized by the Johns Hopkins University Advanced Academic Programs, MA Programs in Museum Studies and Cultural Heritage Management, in collaboration with the Smithsonian Institution. Today's events were funded by a NEXUS Award received by the Museum Studies Program. NEXUS Awards are a university-wide initiative launched in 2023 to support convening, research, and teaching anchored at the Johns Hopkins University Bloomberg Center. I'm Sarah Chacon, Program Director for the Museum Studies and Cultural Heritage Management Programs.
And I'm Stephanie Brown, Assistant Program Director for Museum Studies. Our program today will include an opening talk followed by a panel discussion with questions. The opening talk will run for about 50 minutes, and then we're going to take a short break to allow our panelists to come up to the dais. And we look forward to a lively and nuanced conversation for about an hour and a half, which will go fast. We are delighted to welcome our colleague Andrew Perrin this morning. Andy is SNF Agora Professor of Sociology and Chair of the Sociology Department at Johns Hopkins Krieger School of Arts and Sciences. He's a cultural and political sociologist. His research and teaching focus on the cultural and social underpinnings of democracy. What do people need to know, be, and do to make democracy work? Andy's current research is on public opinion, letters to the editor, and democratic citizenship. So I think you understand why we invited him to join us today.
And after Andy's remarks, we have 4 distinguished panelists who will join him in conversation. We have Vidette Coleman Robinson, President and CEO of the Association of African American Museums; Anthea M. Hartig, the Elizabeth Macmillan Director of the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History; Laura Huertas Migas, Deputy Director, Office of Museum Services in the Institute of Museum and Library Services; and Jerry Mannion, Managing Director, Strengthening U.S. Democracy and the Special Opportunities Fund at the Carnegie Corporation of New York. These remarkable leaders from different parts of our professional world, and each will bring their own perspective to what we're sure will be a morning of fruitful conversation. And now I'm happy to hand over the mic to Professor Andrew Perrin. Thank you, Andrew.